Hi everyone. I'm back for another podcast. This will be maybe my last one. I'll try to do one more before the end of the week, but this is the last one before Thursday Night Football. So we're gonna start off with with my NFL Week 5 predictions. Last week I went 11-4 with my losses coming to the Chiefs Broncos, which if Case Keenum doesn't miss a wide open Demaryius Thomas on what would have been the game-winning drive, I was right. I was also wrong about Titans Eagles, and the only reason I didn't pick the Titans was because if you watched my video from last week predicting the games, I thought that Taylor Lewan and Jack Conklin were still questionable. So I might have picked the Eagles, but it's still a loss on that one. I also got the Browns-Raiders wrong, which the Browns were robbed. That was so a fumble. I don't even know how you don't call that. And then Ravens-Steelers, I was wrong about because I thought in Pittsburgh, but Steelers are done, but we'll get on that later. So now week 5. All right, let's get started. So first game, we have Thursday Night Football, Colts at Patriots. And to me, this is a no-brainer. The Patriots are going to dominate whether Gronk plays or not. Edelman is coming back, and I'll talk more about him later, but that's going to have a huge impact. Patriots, when they score over 30 and Colts score no more than 13. Titans at Bills. Bills take this. Titans take this one easy, and Deion Lewis has a big game. We'll get on that later. Titans score. I'm gonna say 28 to the Bills. We'll give them 10-13. Falcons at Steelers. The Falcons will beat the Steelers, and the Falcons will score 35 plus. Steelers will score 28, around 28. Broncos at Jets. The Broncos will beat the Jets. They're just better in every way except for maybe quarterback. But Sam Darnold is nothing to brag about, going up against Von Miller and Bradley Chubb and Chris Harris and those boys. So Broncos will win. They'll score between 24 and 28. 26 could be a good number. Jets will score around 17. Jaguars at Chiefs. I'm going to take the Jaguars to break the undefeated team this week, because that defense is just crazy good. And then the Chiefs defense is bad. And I know the Chiefs offense is crazy good, but defense tends to win these types of games. Packers at Lions. Oh, I forgot to give my score prediction for that. Jaguars, Chiefs. Jaguars will win 24-21. About. Packers at Lions. Lions take this one by a score of 28-24 around. Lions. The Packers defense is just terrible still. The Lions are starting to get into more of a groove. Yeah. And then Ravens at Browns. I'm taking the Browns. Browns are at home. They are continually improving under Baker Mayfield. The offense is good. The defense, I don't expect to allow that much ever again this year, because that's a really good defense. And I think that was just a fluke game. They'll win between 24 and 28. Between 24 and 30, we'll say, to 21. Giants at Panthers. Taking the Panthers. I think the Panthers are better in every way except for wide receiver and running back. And usually those are two important positions, but when you have Eli Manning throwing the ball and he's super inept, and then you have that O-line, it doesn't really matter. That's going to be 24 to 28 to 14. Dolphins at Bengals. Bengals are going to win that one. Just the Bengals offense looks great. Bengals defense is still pretty good, even though last week they gave up a lot of points. But that Falcons offense is crazy, so I don't fault them for that much. Dolphins lose 2 in a row by a score of 31 to 27. I'm going to say 24 for the Dolphins, actually. Could be 27, but we'll say 24 to 27. Raiders at Chargers. Chargers win handsomely. Chargers are better in literally every way. I would think the score would be 28 to 33 to for the Chargers to the Raiders 14. Cardinals at Niners. I'm taking the Cardinals here to get their DJ will get involved. To get DJ involved, and they will beat the Niners 18 to 13. The Niners just have no offense after Jimmy G. They did score a lot against the Chargers last week, but the Chargers don't have Bosa yet, and that defense is not really meshing much. Derwin James is still playing lights out, though. Vikings at Eagles. I'm taking the Vikings here as an upset. The Vikings, I think, will bounce back after losing 2 straight, get their defense going, and stop the Carson Wentz for the most part. And then that'll be a score of 24 to 17 for the Vikings, yeah. And then Rams and Seahawks is my upset of the week. So throughout recent history, the Rams and Seahawks have played each other incredibly well, and usually the Seahawks were in the Rams' position. The Seahawks were just far superior than the Rams, but now it's opposite, and I don't expect the level of competition between these two teams to change, though. I have the Seahawks taking this one at home and the Rams winning in Los Angeles, and them splitting the series. Could go the opposite direction, but I don't see a sweep in either direction. I think the Seahawks take this in a low-scoring game. Traditionally, it's a low-scoring game, especially with the crowd in Seattle. I think 21 to 17, or no, we're going to go really low-scoring. We're going to go 15 to 13 for the Seahawks. Cowboys at Texans. This is a really good game. I'm going to pick the Texans to win this just because I think they got the offense figured out, and J.J. Watt and Clowney are still balling out, so the defense is going to improve and just get better at stopping points. That's going to be a score of 20 to 24. Redskins at Saints. Saints will take this handsomely, 34 to 26. Saints are just better in most ways, most of them not on defense, but I think the Saints will finally get their defense together mostly. Anyway, that's my predictions for the week. Next, we have expectations for the divisions. So we're at the quarter mark of the season, and I think now's a good time to reevaluate my preseason predictions. I'll have my preseason predictions, if you didn't read them, because I wrote them before the season, and started the podcast before week 3. So I'll have the link in the comments right here. And then right now I'm going to just look through and see what I think will happen. So we have the AFC East, and right now Miami's on top. Don't expect that to continue. New England will win the division comfortably, and the Dolphins will not make the playoffs, I don't think. The AFC North, I changed my mind week 2 in the second quarter from picking the Steelers to win the division to the Bengals. I don't think the reason it took me so long is because I wasn't sure how long Bell was gonna play out. I talked about this in my last video. I didn't know how long Bell was gonna hold out. I didn't know about the situation with all the locker room issues, the offensive linemen talking, and I didn't think the defense would be this bad. So I think I'm reordering the division. I think the Steelers actually finished last in the division. The Ravens 3rd, Browns 2nd, and Bengals 1st. They only send the Bengals to the playoffs. AFC South, now this is the most interesting to me. I had the Texans winning this division. I don't think that will happen, but still could if they figure things out defensively and keep the offense more consistent. Tennessee their defense is looking strong, and it's only a matter of time before they get Derrick Henry and Deion Lewis going, with Jack Conklin and Luan just getting more integrated, and Marcus Mariota looked good last week. Jacksonville is a lock to make the playoffs, probably to win the division. So they probably send 2 teams, could send 3 teams. I would say the most likely right now are the Jaguars and Titans, but I'm still holding out hope for the Texans. AFC West, we have the Chiefs. This is also an interesting division. I had the Chargers winning this division. I still think that will be the case. The Chiefs probably will make the playoffs, and that will kick one of the 3 teams I had out of the AFC South going to the playoffs, or kick them out of the playoffs. So they could send 2 teams, that being the Chargers winning the division and the Chiefs in the wild card, probably. But the Chiefs could also miss the playoffs. I don't see that likely, but the defense is dreadful, and then Patrick Mahomes will hit a slump at some point this year. Probably, I don't know. He's looking so well that it could not happen, but typically a rookie hits a slump at some point, and he could not hit a slump. The defense could just be so bad that he has nothing he could do. But if there is a time to have a slump, it's the next 2 weeks with the Jaguars and Patriots. But even if they lose those 2 weeks, doesn't mean that they'll win. Doesn't mean that they'll not make the playoffs, because I expect them to lose those 2 weeks. It's if they lose the easy weeks because of the bad defense and the rookie quarterback. But next we have the NFC East, and Eagles will win this easily, and that'll be the only team coming out of the division. Dallas will finish 2nd, around 9-7 probably. NFC North, this is also an interesting division. The Bears, I think, will win the division now. Like I talked about the AFC North and the NFC North in my last video, but I'll quickly go over the NFC North again, just like I did with the AFC North. Bears are winning the division. I think Vikings probably could pull it together and win the division, but I think the Bears will win it. Packers, I'm still sticking with being last. Lions with second to last. Just because I think the Lions will figure it out. The Green Bay Packers have nothing besides Aaron Rodgers, and Bears are looking great in everything. Mitch Trubisky, if he can continually play decent, that team is scary. And the Vikings just need to get their pass defense going. NFC South, now I picked the Saints, and I'm sticking with the Saints. I picked the Falcons to go second, but I still think that will be the case. The offense is so high-powered, even with their tremendous losses. Like, the team that has been hit most by injuries this year so far is the Niners. The Falcons are right up there, second. I mean, you lose Keanu Neal, Deion Jones. Those are probably the two most important players to your defense. And then you lose Ricardo Allen, too. It's just dreadful. But they could send 3 teams. They probably will send 3 teams to the playoffs. If not, they'll send 2, and then the Bears and Vikings will make it. Then the NFC West, no one will make it. The Rams will win by so much. Seahawks are a 9-7 team, probably. The Rams are probably the best team in the league. They're probably the best team in the league. All right, those are my my division expectations. And then now we're going to talk about the MLB Postseason. So as I'm recording this, the Yankees are beating the A's 2-0 in the bottom of the first. I was going to pick the Yankees to win this anyway. The Yankees are going to take that, and then the rest of the playoffs are going to look like this. The Yankees will play the Red Sox, and that's going to be electric. The Yankees playing the Red Sox in the playoffs brings back so many memories, but this year, the Red Sox are just better. They're like, the Yankees somehow pull some magic in the playoffs sometimes, but I don't think it'll happen this year. The Sox take this in 3 or 4. Then we get the Indians, Astros. This is going to 5. This is an insane series. This is a World Series level series. This is a AL championship level series. I think the Indians take this by hair just because Jose Ramirez is playing so well, and their bullpen and their rotation is just so good. I think the Indians go. Then we have Indians versus Red Sox. This is also an incredible series, and I think the Indians take this just by a hair in the final game. Then we have the NL and Dodgers over Braves. Dodgers are one of the most talented teams in the league, but they haven't been able to pull it together much, but they're starting to, and they were rolling in the last quarter of the season for the most part. That's why they were behind in the NL West and ended up winning it. Then we got the Brewers versus the Rockies, and I was going to pick the Rockies based on the play, but then I thought about it, and their rotation, the Brewers' rotation is just good. They have the probable MVP in Christian Yelich, and I see the Brewers winning. Dodgers will win in 3 or 4, probably 4. Brewers will beat the Rockies in also 3 or 4. And then I have the Dodgers going to the World Series in 6 against the Brewers. I just think it's a better matchup. Dodgers will be able to hit against the Brewers pitchers, I think, and then Dodgers rotation is pretty solid. And we got the Dodgers versus the Indians in the World Series. This is going 7 games again, and I have the Dodgers finally winning a World Series. You can call me biased all you want, but Indians might win, but I'm holding out hope for the Dodgers. I think even without Seager, which is crushing because he's one of my favorite players, I think they pull it out, and with some LA magic, and they finally bring back the World Series to LA, and I think Puig wins World Series MVP. The next topic is whether the Showtime Lakers are back. Now, this is one of the happiest I will be on this show. The Lakers last night had 28 assists, and in the first half were just incredible. The pace was great. The passing was great. Passing is contagious, especially when you have Rondo and LeBron and Lonzo and Lance and Josh Hart was passing. Ingram was passing. Kuzma was everyone was passing. It just made me so happy. But there are two answers to this question: yes and no. Well, kind of three, but I'll get into that. The first, I'll get into no. They're not the Showtime Lakers, because the Showtime Lakers were a dynasty. They won 5 championships in 10 years and made it to, I think, 8. Magic Johnson made it to 9 finals, but I don't know if they were all in those 10 years. I'll have to check that. Anyway, the Showtime Lakers were a dynasty that dominated the league and won many championships. The Lakers are not there yet and probably will not get to that level of dynasty with this current Lakers, with LeBron leading the show. That being said, the yes is because passing is back. Passing is contagious. The Showtime Lakers, everyone was passing. It's like I watched the 30 for 30 on the Celtics Lakers, and a bunch of the Lakers said, Magic just said, run and I'll find you. And they knew it. They knew, like, they would fight for who got the run, and so Magic would get the ball. It was so fun for them to just run and then catch the ball wherever they were and just put it in. That's what's back, the passing. What isn't back is the pace, because the pace is really fast, and the Showtime Lakers pace was really fast, but the Lakers were 3rd in pace last year. The Showtime Lakers in pace were already back. So that's my answer to that question. Next, we're going to have my sleepers, my locks, and my players to stay away from in fantasy. First we'll get to my sleepers. Edelman. I said I'll talk about him earlier in the show. Edelman is Brady's favorite target. If Gronk plays, great. That means the field will be so open for all of them. If he doesn't, that means Brady is going to need his safety valve even more. And Edelman getting back, they're going to try to get Edelman the ball as much as they can. Edelman's going to be catching ball after ball, especially in PPR. If you have Edelman, play him. Okay? Next, we're going to have Corey Grant is a sleeper. Fournette is out. You saw what he did against the Patriots. That was great. The Chiefs' defense is so much worse. Without Fournette, Corey Grant is going to have a big day. Next, we have Kerryon Johnson. Kerryon Johnson has shown that he's having an increased workload and is starting to get his legs under him, becoming an NFL running back, and is going to be more consistent. The Packers' defense is not so good. It has been decent against the run recently, but I don't expect that to continue. The offensive line has looked pretty decent for the Lions, and I think Kerryon Johnson will improve and will have a big week. Now for the locks, I tried not to pick like obvious people for the sleepers, and then the locks. Some of them are obvious, some of them are not. I'm doing 3 for each of all of these categories. The first lock is Julio Jones. Julio is going up against a terrible Steelers defense. Julio is going to have over 125 yards and 2 touchdowns, I think. If you're playing him, good luck. And if you have him, you would play him anyway, but play him. Next is Alvin Kamara. The Saints are playing the Redskins, who have a decent defense, but not great. I think, but with Mark Ingram coming back, that's going to make Kamara even more efficient and then even more lethal in the passing game, I think. So especially in PPR, but in standard, Alvin Kamara is a lock for your lineup. Next lock is Dion Lewis. So the Titans are playing the Bills. The Bills are trash, first of all. Second of all, they've allowed the 6th most yards to tailbacks through the past 3 weeks. Dion Lewis is amazing. 6th most receiving yards to tailbacks through the last 3 weeks. And Dion Lewis is the king of that. He had 9 catches last week. Expect that to continue. He is a lock for your lineup this week. And then Taylor Lewan and Jack Conklin are getting back. They have 1 game back under them, and they will continue to improve. Players to stay away from, Dalvin Cook. Man, this is a tough week for Dalvin Cook. They have a beaten up O-line, and he is going up against, last week he went up against Sue and Donald. This week he's going up against Fletcher Cox and that stout Eagles run defense. I would stay away from Dalvin Cook. Next, we have anyone on the Rams except for Gurley. They're playing the Seahawks. Traditionally, these are low, grinded out games. That means Gurley will probably get some rushing defense, but don't expect anyone else except for maybe Cooks to have a big game on the Rams. Next, we're going to have Andrew Luck. Stay away from playing him. He is playing Bill Belichick and a defense that much improved last week. I expect the Patriots to harass him. He'll have 2 turnovers, a pick, maybe 2 picks, but definitely 1 pick, and could have a forced fumble. I think Trey Flowers will probably force it. Those are that's my fantasy advice for the week. Next, for our final topic, we have who would I start with my NBA team. So the GMs, we had the annual GM poll come out today, and they voted Giannis was first with 30%, Anthony Davis with 23%, Kevin Durant 20%, LeBron James 17%, Steph Curry 7%, Joel Embiid had 3%. Now, for me, if I'm starting a team, I want a dynasty, and I want a player that I can build around. That means usually a wing or a center or transcendent point guard. So I wouldn't even consider Kevin Durant, LeBron, or Curry. Apparently, a bunch of the GMs in today's league don't want to compete right away. Want to compete right now and don't want to build a long dynasty. But Giannis is 23 years old. Anthony Davis is 25 years old. Joel Embiid is 24 years old. To me, those 3, you can't take a wrong pick. But anyone else but those 3 seems ridiculous to me, except for maybe Ben Simmons. I think he'll develop a jump shot and he'll definitely win an MVP and be a great player. But he hasn't shown that yet, so I can't pick him in my top 3. Giannis, I would have by far the number 1 because he's so versatile, can do anything, but he doesn't have a jump shot yet, as we've seen. But he could prove us wrong this season and show us he does have a jump. It's improving every year, and his work ethic is insane. His mentality is great. He improves drastically every year. He worked out with Kobe, which means he's going to improve because every single player that is worked out with Kobe has had career highs the next season. Anthony Davis would be my pick, though. He does have a little bit of injury concerns, but not much. But name one thing Anthony Davis can't do on the basketball court. There's literally nothing. He can dribble. He can shoot. He can defend, like top 3 defender in the league. He can rebound. He can do everything. Anthony Davis, I think, might be the best player in the NBA by the end of the season. He might dethrone LeBron. He will most definitely be second, depending on how Kawhi comes back. And then next, Joel Embiid is great. You do have the injury concerns, and he's not as comfortable playing back to the basket. But everything else Joel Embiid could do. He could shoot. He can dribble. He can pass. Not as well as Anthony Davis or Giannis, though. But and then he could shoot better than all of them, except for maybe not Anthony Davis. And he's also a top 4 defender. So any of those 3, but I don't get having Kevin Durant 20%, LeBron 17%, and why is Joel Embiid only 3%? I guess GMs are really scared about his injury concerns. Yeah, And that's today's podcast. Thank you for watching.